The afternoon sun streamed through the kitchen window, turning a simple glass jar into a shimmering treasure chest. Inside, a kaleidoscope of colours shifted as Lily held the jar with both hands. She marvelled at the sugary gems, each one a tiny promise of sweetness. After a moment of careful deliberation, she reached in and picked out a bright red jellybean, its surface polished and perfect. She popped it into her mouth, savouring the burst of cherry flavour. The world seemed quiet and sweet, but deep within the jar, something small, blue, and very stubborn was about to break the silence. Suddenly, the jar vibrated. A small blue jellybean didn't just fall, it hopped with purpose, landing on the wooden table with a defiant click. Lily froze her hand halfway back to the jar. The blue bean puffed up its sugary sides, staring intensely at the spot where the red bean had just been. It began to wiggle aggressively, its tiny body vibrating with a strange sugary rage. With a sudden lunge, it slammed into a silver spoon, sending it clattering across the table. Lily couldn't help but let out a soft laugh. "Well, aren't you a feisty one?" she whispered, reaching out to touch the sapphire rebel. The blue bean wasn't looking for a handout, it wanted the spotlight. As Lily's fingers approached, it skittered away with surprising speed, diving behind a white napkin like a soldier in a trench. Lily chuckled and decided to ignore the tantrum, reaching instead for a calm green jellybean. This was an insult the blue bean could not ignore. Its vibrant azure skin began to deepen, turning a dark bruised shade of purple. It launched itself into a frantic sprint, rolling in jagged circles and slamming repeatedly into the heavy salt shaker. Every thud seemed to scream, "Look at me, not them." Lily sighed and gently scooped the troublemaker up, dropping it back into the glass jar. But the peace lasted only a second. The blue bean began to shove, using its rounded ends to push the yellow, orange, and pink beans toward the bottom. It climbed over their sticky shoulders, scrambling and kicking until it reached the very top, standing alone like a king on a mountain of sugar. It puffed itself out, claiming the top spot as its own private stage. It was the master of the jar, and it would tolerate no rivals for Lily's affection. Lily watched the display of ego with a raised eyebrow, realizing this little bean needed a lesson in humility. Lily gave the jar a firm, sudden shake. The blue king lost its footing, tumbling down through the colourful crowd until it hit the glass bottom with a soft, lonely thud. It stopped wiggling It sat perfectly still, perhaps stunned by its fall. Lily opened the lid again, her fingers hovering over a bright yellow bean. Immediately, the blue one tried to rally. It scrambled onto a pile of orange beans, reaching desperately for the rim, but its strength was gone. It slipped, sliding back down into the shadows of the other sweets. The fight was over. Lily smiled, tipping the jar until every last bean spilled onto the table in a joyful heap. The blue one rolled out, mixing naturally with the rest. It was no longer dark or puffed up, just a blue bean among friends. Lily gathered them all back into the jar, side by side. It wasn't a prison or a pedestal anymore. It was a home for everyone.